Islam says Iblis was a jinn, but this is not the case. He was an angel known as Azazel, and he was the most intimate angel near the throne of Allah. He worshiped 700,000 years in the court of unity. If Azazel, Iblis, were to reveal his light to mankind, they would worship him as God. This was said by Hassan Basri. We know that all the angels were commanded to bow to Adam, but Iblis refused. And because of his refusal, he was cast out of the court of proximity. Plus, his name was changed from Azazel to Iblis. Yet, where was he cast out to? One of the mysteries states that at the very moment Iblis was cursed, he began to pray and praise, saying to God, "A curse from you is 100 times finer than turning from you towards anything else." How many of us can look at the Most High and truly feel this way? Not too many of us. Just by this example, we can learn how to love the Most High. We love this God no matter what we go through. We love a curse from this God as much as we would love a blessing. Mystics learned that we must love and endure the wrath of the all as well as the blessings of the all. Hallaj wrote, "We know that our beloved God comes with wrath and affliction, but we have pledged ourselves to the beloved's wrath and affliction. From the beloved comes affliction, and from us contentment. From the beloved wrath, from us love." Here is another mystery revealed. Adam knew that Iblis would be used by God to tempt him. And in this is the lesson of concealment meaning. Adam said, "I have wronged myself." He was not ignorant of God's actions, unlike ourselves. Out of love, Adam accepted the responsibility for sinning. He concealed God's actions, and by taking the sin on himself, he was blessed. After his repentance, God asked him, "Did I not create the sin in you as well as those tribulations within you? Was it not my ordainment and decree? Why then did you hide it when asking for forgiveness?" Adam then said, "I persevered. I preserved love." So God replied, "In turn, I have rewarded you for it." Satan is the one who separates the wheat from the chaff. He is the tester of the quality of the mystic, the lover of God. Satan is the guardian of the truth and the gatekeeper of the throne of the All-High One. The sword of his black light, who reigns over the dominion of there is no God and jealously guards but God. And in fact, his sword is the sword of Allah's own power. For he said in the Holy Quran, "By your power, I will surely seduce them all." For Allah appointed Satan as the guard, saying, "My lover, because of your jealous love for me, do not let strangers approach me." The ancient teachers said that we have a fire in our blood, and this fire is Satan, the helper of the lower self. This lower self is what causes us our problems, yet it can also be the very step to becoming a true lover of God. And then there is this. With the creation came the false illusion of duality. Along with this duality came one aspect of Allah, who is pro-man, and another who is against man. Yet this is all an illusion, and we must learn to get out of the illusion of this duality. Adam could not claim to be divine, for this would be unforgivable. And yet Allah, in his projection as Satan, could not bow to any other. Adam, or mankind, actually unites Satan and Allah. For Satan has learned never to say I, and this is one of the deepest secrets. Al-Hallaj clearly proclaims that Iblis was the greatest monotheist in heaven and relates that his undivided devotion and love for God was a pure witnessing, so pure, in fact, that God's threats of his curse against him made no difference to him. Among the inhabitants of heaven, there was no affirmer of unity like Iblis. When Iblis was veiled by Ubisa, the An, and he fled the glances and gazed into the secret and worshiped his deity stripped of all else, only to be cursed when he attained individuation and given demands when he demanded more. He was told, bow down. He said, to no other. He was asked, even if you receive my curse, he said, it does not matter. I have no way to an other than you. I am an abject lover. For Hallaj, Iblis's refusal to bow illustrates the intrinsic force within Gnostic contemplation of the divine, enabling the mystic to transcend the boundaries of rational thought into an experience of union with the divine. This is quite explicitly stated in verse 12. There can be no distance for me, distancing you from me. When I have achieved certainty, nearness and distance are one. Even if I am abandoned, abandonment will be my companion. How can it be abandonment while love is one? To you, praise and success in the pure absolute. For a servant of true heart, who will bow to no other than you. Hallaj relates the above-mentioned science of opposite. In heaven, he was the proclaimer of the angel, showing them the virtues, and on earth, he was the proclaimer of humankind, showing them the vices. Things are known through opposites. A fine garment is woven on a coarse black backing. Similarly, the angel displays the virtues and says to the virtuous, perform them and you will be requited. Symbolically, whoever does not know vice will not know virtue. Thus, Hallaj does not seem to pose Iblis in the traditional way as inherently evil, but shows him as a tragic martyr who has loyally professed the unity of God while lovingly worshiping him, despite the hardships Iblis suffers through God's rejections of him. He said, all choices, including my own, are yours. You have chosen for me, O originator. If you forbid me from bowing, you are the forbidder. If I err in speaking, don't abandon me. All hearer, if you will me to bow before him, I am the obeyer. I know no one more knowing of you than me. Don't blame me. Blame from me is far away. Reward me, Master, for I am unique. In your true threat, I am made true. In desert, my plight is severe. Whoever wills a speech, here is my book and testament. Read it and know I am witness, martyr. The most eloquent of the tribe were dumbstruck at his gait. The sages failed to appreciate he was more perfected than they in the position of prayer, nearer than they to the one existing, spending himself in struggle, more giving, more faithful than they in the oath they would swear, more loyal to the master than they, more near. They fell before Adam in prayer as a favor, while Iblis, because of his ancient age of witnessing, refused. Iblis is thus shown by Hallaj to have undergone, in An's words, emotional turmoil in regards to his refusal to bow. This refusal is not a mere act of compulsion, as is apparently the case with the angel, but the result of his acquired gnosis from his extensive contemplation or witnessing of God throughout the ages. Here, Hallaj seems to be presenting Iblis' refusal, not in a way of corrupted pride, as in the traditional presentation, but in light of true spiritual discernment. Moses meets Iblis on Mount Sinai. Moses asks Iblis, Satan, what prevented him from bowing? Satan answers that it was his proclamation of God's unity that kept him from it. Halaj continues with Satan saying, if I had bowed down in prayer before Adam, I would have been like you. You were called one time to look at the mountain, and you looked. I was called 1,000 times to bow down, but I did not bow, held back by the meaning of my proclamation. He said, you abandoned the command. He replied, that was a test, not a command. He said, of course, he deformed you. He answered, Musa, that is masquerade. The condition is unreliable. It will change. Knowing remains as sound as it was before, unchanged. Only the figure has been transformed. Musa said, do you remember him now? O Musa, he replied, remembrance does not remember. I am the remembered, and he is the remembered. His remembrance is my remembrance his. Can the two remembers be anything but together? My service is now purer, my moment freer, my remembrance greater. Formerly, I served him out of concern for my own lot. Now I serve out of concern for his. Iblis goes on to relate to Moses all of the various ways he was seemingly tragically exiled and isolated from the pure-hearted by God as a consequence of his pure worship. Satan then concludes, he abandoned me because of my unveiling, unveiled me because of my union, made me one with him because of my separation, cut me off because of the preclusion of my faith. By his reality, I have not erred concerning the designing, nor rejected the destining, nor concerned myself with the change in imaging, nor am I in such measures the one to be judging. Even if he torments me with his fire forever and beyond, I will not bow before any other than him, abase myself before a figure and a body, or recognize a rival or offspring. My proclamation is the proclamation of those who are sincere, and in love I am triumphant. How not? God said, if you lay claim to my love, there must be a sign. God laid out for him the touchstones of affliction and oppression, blame and humiliation. He accepted in an instant, and these two touchstones testified that the mark of his love was faithfulness. Will you never grasp what I say? In love, there must be persecution and there must be fidelity, so that the lover becomes thoroughly ripened by the gentle kindness and the oppression of the beloved. Otherwise, he remains raw and nothing comes from him. Thus, for Satan, and also apparently for Halaj, the curse of God is the highest of his gifts. Through God's curse, the mystic is purified and marked, as it were, with this sign. Therefore, God's curse is a test for the truly faithful. As with Satan, Iblis, he accepts this test without question or complaint. Iblis' willingness to be rejected and deformed, all the while fulfilling his task in gratitude, is the highest act of love. Ayn al-Qudat's understanding. Iblis offers himself as sacrifice. When God torments, he accepts. When God oppresses, he increases his love. Are you, my dear and esteemed viewer, ready to suffer the curse of God, to find the true love of God? Would you be willing to go through this? This is what you must go through. In Hebrews chapter 5, verse 8, it says, even though Jesus was God's son, he learned obedience from the things he suffered. Can you now see, even in the Bible, Christ being a son had to learn obedience through suffering? Think on these things and be ready in the next video from the Umbanda New Earth Education video presentation library. May the true God bless all of you. Namaste, namaskaram.